might have. So we've got a little bit of time here. We're going to open the floor up for those of you here who have come for questions. We have a mic here. We have a couple. This is Shelburne, and then the fellow in the green shirt would be next, David.
Thank you. Mr. Paul, I trust you with your economics, with our government, and the education of my children. I was at the straw poll debates here in Iowa, and was somewhat dismayed when you seemed to empathize with Iran developing their own nuclear weapons. And now we have their warships off our coast of our country are beginning to move this direction. And I've read since the 1980s the dangers of Iran and Iraq. So I wondered, what is your thoughts on Iran, and how are you going to prevent that from being a big problem for us?
Well, I would try to get people to think about it in a proper perspective and compare it to how we treated the Soviets when they had 30,000 nuclear weapons. And then we would talk to them and we would work with them and gradually remove sanctions. They had murdered hundreds of millions of people, the Soviets and the Chinese. And they had a lot of nuclear weapons, and we worked our way out of it. The Iranians don't have a nuclear weapon, and they have an incentive to get one, because we respect people with nuclear weapons and we don't respect people who don't. We talked the Libyans into getting rid of their nuclear weapon. Look what happened to them. North Korea has a nuclear weapon, and we treat them differently. So I don't know why we should be intimidated by the Iranians. They have to import gasoline. They have all this oil over there. I mean, they are a third world nation when it comes to their amount of weaponry. So my personal belief and what I would like is not to let them have a nuclear weapon, but I'm not going to go to war over it. I think the best way to handle people that are difficult is try to work our way out of them. I mean, when I was drafted, it was during the Cuban crisis. But things are so different now. Why do we still have sanctions on Cuba? We should have gotten rid of those about 35 years ago. Congress gave us no authority to decide what weapons some country should have 6,000 miles away from here. And I just think that we're looking for more problems. It reminds me a lot about what happened to Iraq. He had a nuclear weapon too. And now we've created a country that's an ally with the Iranians. But the tragedy is that our conflict with the Iranians had really started in 1953. They had democratic elections. They had elected Dr. Mossadegh as their president, and he was not going to give Britain and us as much out of their oil. So they had to change attitude. So we took care of him. We bumped him out and put in the Shah, who was a militant dictator that they hated, which elicits the radicalism of Islam, because we created the radicalism. They didn't have it until we put the Shah in. So radicalism comes as a consequence of certain things. So this is why they became more radicalized. But even Iran is probably one of the most radical Islamic countries in the world. But to date, they haven't invaded another country. They haven't had a suicide attack against the American, and yet we are getting many, many more suicide attacks against us now than we did before 9/11. So I think we just have to put it in a proper perspective and deal with it. What if they got one nuclear weapon? Yeah, it would be bad. I thought it was bad when Pakistan got one. How about India? Pakistan and India both have them. They probably are less likely to fight a war right now, in a perverse sense. But no, there's too many nuclear weapons. Iran is essentially surrounded by nuclear weapons. Russia, the United States, the British have them, the French have them, the Chinese have them, the Indians have them, Pakistanis have them, and they belong to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. They have never been found to violate that treaty. by the UN or our CIA. Our CIA is not chomping at the bit and say they're on the verge of a nuclear weapon. That just is not true. I happen to probably agree with the concern that they probably want one and that probably are, interested in having one. But for us to go looking for another war right now and taking on the Iranians, and that's what the neoconservatives want right now. They got Libya, and we'll go to Syria. But the real irony of all this is that this is supposedly done. Our policies over there are supposed to protect Israel, and I think we're really jeopardizing Israel. Just look at all that money we pumped into Egypt. They finally got annoyed with us, like the Syrians or like the Iranians did. So now, guess what? The Islamists are winning in the elections over there. I think whether it's Libya, Tunisia, they are winning. Egypt is going to be more Islamic than it was sectarian, and we're going to be broke one of these days. And we have taken too much of the sovereignty away from Israel, because I think Israel should be a sovereign nation. They should deal with their borders and deal with peace treaties on their own, and we shouldn't interfere. I am in favor of that much foreign aid. No foreign aid for anyone. People that think, well, you should have one exception, and that is Israel. I said, but you know what? If you cut all the foreign aid from everybody, you find out that the enemies of Israel, all around Israel, get 7 times more foreign aid than Israel gets. So if you're pro-Israel, you want to get rid of all the foreign aid, and that would give Israel a boost in their national defense. But I just think that we should be very, very cautious and put it into perspective.
We have another question here in the green. Any other questions? And one over here. We'll take a couple more. Okay.
My name's Nate Isles from Bloomfield. Mr. Paul, coal-based electricity is being regulated into impractically high prices in the next few decades. It's already raised a lot this decade. Wind and solar energy are difficult to maintain, and even at peak efficiency will not be able to support the country's need, which grows every year. Nuclear power is usually too threatening to garner any civilian or government consent, despite its green benefits. What is your plan to assure reliable electricity production in the face of increasing demand and dwindling production methods?
Well, what we need to do is just deliver it to the marketplace. The governments are totally inept. The bureaucrats and the politicians I know, they don't have any idea what energy is all about or what the price should be. Only the market can determine this. I think that there's a lot of over-regulated areas in this country and over-subsidized. The 3 worst would be medicine and education and health care. But the prices just go up. Energy has been distorted by over-regulation, and it has caused a lot of problems. But the one area that there's been essentially no regulation, and that is in electronics. Cell phones and computers and TVs, and what has happened? Quality goes up and price goes down. So what you want to do is just get out of the way and let price determine the best source of energy. The market would also determine how much you should import or not import. If there's a shortage or for some reason that comes up short, believe me, the market adjusts a lot faster than the Washington can adjust to it.
David, here's one right up front. And you have one in the back.
Thank you, Doctor. Rick McClure from right here in Ottumwa. I likewise was Air Force. Thank you for your service to the country. Back when I grew up, our National Guard was considered a weekend of warriors. Stay at home, take care of natural disasters, sandbagging floods, securing areas after a tornado. On your first day in office, the first troops home, would you bring back our National Guard back home to their families? Thank you.
Yeah, they would come home with all the rest, too. should bring the guard unit home, because this has always been an annoyance, you know, that we need more federal help to help out on the hurricanes and all. But where are the guard units? You know, during Katrina, they were over in the Persian Gulf area. So no, I think that's a very good point. They should come home. And you know, even if you don't put them out of the service, it doesn't matter that much. They can spend all that money here at home. But one thing I want to get as many questions as I can, and I can get in. But very briefly, people who worry about me cutting too much too fast. There's one statistic that's worth studying a little bit, and that is, what did we do after World War II? We brought 10 million military people home. We cut the budget 60% and reduced taxes 30%. The Depression finally ended. This idea.
Hi, my name is Natalie Butler. I'm from Fairfield, Iowa. And my question is probably kind of similar. One is, when you get rid of all these government departments, where are all those people going to go who have those jobs? And also, the people who have HUD assistance and those kinds of things, are they going to lose their houses then because they don't have that assistance anymore? And then thirdly, how do you propose that we're going to give the college graduates jobs?
Well, the jobs are going to come when you do all those things I suggested, regulatory-wise, monetary-wise, and the whole works. And like I said, the jobs came immediately, you know, after World War II, by just getting the government out of the way. But where do the people go that works for the bureaucracy now? Although if you list the numbers, it's a couple 100,000, but there's a lot of attrition. Most of the people in my program just don't get they don't hire new replacements, and it's over a period of time. So it's not like everybody gets dumped out in the market at first. But if you did everything right, it wouldn't matter. People would just go out and take a job, because there would be jobs. But there's no doubt about it. This country has messed things up a whole lot, and there would be some adjusting. But it has been done before. We've gone back on the gold standard before. There's so many things that we could do. But if you did the right thing, you shouldn't have to worry about the jobs.
Okay, we have this gentleman here in the front, and then we'll have the very final question to be that gentleman right back there, David. Okay.
My name is John Utek, and I'm from Ottumwa. President Paul, in your first term of office, is there anything that you would consider critical enough to warrant a government bailout?
No.
I'll redefine it. I'll bail all of you out by lowering your taxes.
Shirt. That's it.
Hi, Tony Stark from Malibu, California. I noticed a common theme throughout your speech, Mr. Paul, about foreign policy, bailouts, all that. I really think there's a more fundamental issue here, and that's the stranglehold of big money on our government. This hysteria about weapons of mass destruction, or, well, that's a good one. You know, a few people profit off war. And that's why all this happens. What can we do about the stranglehold of big money?
Well, when it comes to the manufacture of weapons, you have to change the foreign policy. You have to have different people, in government. But it is true that big money drives it across the board for various reasons. I mean, almost every segment. Take for instance, medical reform. Do we have a real challenge between pure socialized medicine and free market medicine? No, it's corporate medicine. So who lines up, Republican or Democrats? The drug companies and insurance companies line up. It's almost everything that we do. Now there's two ways you can look at that. One is write rules against big money coming and lobbying and supporting candidates. And I don't accept that, because you have a right to petition your government, so you don't want to restrain those individuals who want to go to the government, even when they're doing it for the wrong reason. What we have to do is change the role of government. If government has no ability to pass out favors, that would remove the incentive. Now, there's one other way that you can do it, too. because I haven't had a problem with big money, because I don't get the money from the business people, and they don't lobby me, because you either have the people who will totally resist it, or get rid of all of the programs where they can pass out these favors, or, but I do not believe that restraining your right to petition your government is the solution for that. But big money is a big problem. There is no doubt about it, but you have to change policies in order to take care of it. Thank you very much.